Welcome, yoga friends. I'm Jen, and I've created this channel to help you work through chronic pain, anxiety, and depression through yoga. Today we're going to take a look at how we transition from down dog or tabletop into the plank or chaturanga. Some variations there to help you build your practice and use it in a way that works best for your body. So when you're ready, let's get onto the mat. We'll get right into the posture here of downward facing dog. So we'll take the hands here underneath the shoulders. And the setup for down dog is really important. So you want to have the hands shoulder distance apart and the fingers pointing to the front edge of your mat here. You want to have no gaps between the floor and your fingertips. And this will just help protect your wrists. So with your fingertips pointing forward, we tuck the toes and lift the hips. With the hips high, we start to press back into the heels. Don't worry if your heels don't touch the floor. Now, if you're working with any wrist injuries, you can always make a fist with your hands here rather than have the palms pressing into the floor. And you want to have a slight bend into your elbows here. Right? So we're activating and using the muscles of the body rather than locking out through the joints. So as we move here from the down dog into the plank position or the chaturanga beginning position, we're going to take a smooth breath in. And we line up the body so that the wrists and the shoulders come in line with each other and the toes and the heels are in line as well. You notice that the hips are quite low here. So they're in line with the shoulders. And as we lower down here, the inner elbows somewhat turn forward and we lower the shoulders and the hips at the same time to the floor. Maybe to the body to hover. We'll lay the body down here and then take the elbows underneath the shoulders. Press the tops of the feet into the floor and the pubic bone. Lift the heart center forward and draw the shoulders away from your ears. So if you're doing this properly, you'll notice that your knees will hover off the floor as well. And it just creates a bit of length here for the lower spine. So that's the full variation right there. We'll exhale and lower here, and with the hands underneath the shoulders and the toes tucked under, we'll draw the elbows in and press down through the hands, lifting the hips and the shoulders at the same time, and then move back into downward facing dog. So that's sort of the ideal right there that we're working towards when we do down dog to the plank, chaturanga to the floor. Another variation that you can take here to help build the strength is to come into the plank, but take the knees to the floor. Now, you'll notice here that the hips aren't up high, but again, we're in a bit of a slanted position with the hips low and pressing up in between the shoulder blades. So just take the gaze forward, take a breath in, draw the navel back, and again, the elbows turn forward and the elbows will just graze the ribs as we lower. Again, the hips and the shoulders should come to the mat at the same time. And again, we press the tops of the feet into the floor. We're going to lift up through the heart. You can either take your elbows to the floor here, as we did the first time, or just raise the hands. We'll draw the elbows together or towards each other and take our gaze forward. And maybe stay here or raise the toe tips off the floor. This is another option. To lower here, we take the hands back underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes. Now, if you can't come up in the full plank, what you can do is tuck the toes, come up onto the knees, take the gaze forward, so the chin's on the floor too. We'll draw the elbows towards each other, the navel to the spine, and as we press down through the hands, the shoulders and the hips, again, move in that straight line. So we're really building strength here through the abdominal center. Let's go ahead and press back through the hips here, take them towards the heels to release the spine. Take a couple of breaths here. And then we'll just move into the tabletop. So if when you're doing yoga and neither one of those flows work for you for any reason, what you can do instead of tabletop or, of down dog to table. Oh, you have to cut that. So if neither one of those variations work for you, what you can do instead of coming into downward facing dog, is to stay in your tabletop and coming into a cat-cow. So as you inhale, letting the heart center lift, raising the tail and drawing the shoulders away from your ears. And as you exhale, a rounding through the spine and tucking the chin towards the chest. From here, you can take your hips to the floor, to the heels, and stretch out in child's pose. Inhale, lift up through the heart, the hips stay low, and draw the shoulders down the back. Exhale and fold. And come back into the table. So let's run through each of those one more time so that you can get a sense of how they work. We'll come right into the full down dog variation first. So make your way into down dog, fingers point forward, hands underneath the shoulders, feet hip distance apart. Let your head drop down in between the shoulders here. We'll take a nice deep breath in. As we exhale, we're going to make our way into the plank with the hips as low as the shoulders. On an exhale breath, we lower to the floor. Elbows graze the ribs and see if you can just hover. From here, lay the body flat. Press the tops of the toes to the floor and then take your elbows underneath the shoulders. Draw the hands back towards the hips. Lift up through the heart center. Exhale, we roll down. Hands underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes. Squeeze the elbows in. And we're going to press down through the hands, the shoulders and the hips lifting at the same time. And we move back into the downward facing dog. And you can always drop the knees to the floor instead of coming up into a full Chaturunga there. Second variation, we take a breath here in the dog. Make our way into the plank. From the plank, we take the knees to the floor. Exhale, we're going to draw the elbows in, lower the hips and the shoulders at the same time. Press the tops of the feet into the floor here. Lift up through the knees. Press the pubic bone down. Lift up through the heart. Raise the hands off the mat. Draw the elbows towards each other as you take the gaze about 1 meter ahead. And then lift the toes off the floor as well. You can even reach the hands back here towards your toes if that feels nice for you. We release on the exhale, hands back underneath the shoulders. Take your chin to the floor. Tuck your toes. Come up onto your knees and squeeze the elbows towards each other. Draw your navel back. Press down through the palms. Lift the shoulders and the hips at the same time, building strength through the arms. And then we're going to sink the hips back here into child's pose, or you can come right back into downward facing dog. Our final variation here, we come into the tabletop. We're going to take a breath in, lift up through the heart, draw the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale and round through the spine. Take the hips towards the heels. Exhale completely. Stretch the hands forward, forehead to the floor. As you breathe in, lift up through the heart, draw the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale and fold. And we'll come all the way back to a seat. So there you have it, 3 different variations on how to stretch out the back line of the body, moving from a down dog or a tabletop to stretching the front of the spine as well. I hope you have a lovely day. Please remember to click subscribe if you haven't already.